welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the murky depths of the past, exploring 10 battles that echo through the corridors of time. These aren't just clashes of armies, they're hinges of history, moments where the world held its breath, and the very trajectory of civilization hung in the balance. Think of it, the clang of metal, the screams of the dying, the dust and the smoke obscuring a truth too terrible to comprehend at that moment, that the outcome of this struggle, this brutal, chaotic mess, will ripple outward, shaping destinies yet unwritten. We're talking empires rising and falling, ideologies clashing, the maps of power redrawn in the blood of countless souls. We're going to look at the strategy, the technology, the sheer human drama that unfolded on those epical battlefields. So buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through the killing fields of history. Get ready to witness firsthand the raw power of these epic battles and the indelible mark they've left on our world. Picture, if you will, the ancient world in the 5th century BC. The mighty Persian Empire, a vast, sprawling behemoth stretching from the Indus River to the Aegean Sea, has set its sights on the squabbling city-states of Greece. Led by King Darius I, a ruler of immense ambition and even greater ruthlessness, the Persian war machine seemed unstoppable. They were masters of siege warfare, their armies a vast tapestry of diverse warriors drawn from every corner of their empire. The Greeks, on the other hand, were a fractious bunch, often more interested in squabbling amongst themselves than uniting against a common foe. Their hoplites, heavily armed citizen soldiers, were renowned for their discipline and fighting prowess. But could they stand against the Persian tide? In 490 BC, the Persian fleet, laden with troops and buoyed by the confidence of past victories, landed on the plains of Marathon, a mere 26 miles from Athens. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of Greece and reverberate through the ages. Outnumbered, outmaneuvered, the fate of the Greeks seemed sealed. Yet on that fateful day, something extraordinary happened. The Athenian general, Miltiades, a cunning strategist, unleashed a daring plan. The Greeks charged, their lines a wall of bronze and flesh slamming into the Persian ranks. The clash was brutal, a maelstrom of bronze, blood, and desperate fury. Against all odds, the Greek hoplites held, their discipline and ferocity overcoming the Persian numerical advantage. The Persians, unaccustomed to such ferocious resistance, faltered, their lines buckled, their advance stalled, and then the tide turned. The Greeks, sensing victory, pressed their attack, routing the Persian forces and driving them back to their ships. The Battle of Marathon was a watershed moment in Western history. It was a testament to the courage and skill of the Greek hoplites, and a stark reminder that even the mightiest empires could bleed. 10 years after Marathon, the drums of war beat once more. Xerxes, driven by vengeance, assembled an unprecedented army. Herodotus claimed millions, but it was likely smaller. The Persians left nothing to chance. They marched across the Hellespont to extinguish Greek resistance. Their objective? Break through Thermopylae, the gateway to southern Greece. 300 Spartans, led by King Leonidas, guarded the pass. Joined by Greek allies, they faced a vast Persian force. The elite Persian immortals, seemingly endless, whispered invincibility. The stage was set for a legendary confrontation. For 2 days the Greeks held. Hemmed in by the steep cliffs and the sea, the narrow pass became a killing ground. Wave after wave of Persian soldiers crashed against the Spartan shield wall, only to be driven back with heavy losses. The Spartans, masters of warfare, their discipline honed through years of rigorous training, fought with a ferocity that terrified even the immortals. Their laconic wit in the face of death became the stuff of legend. "Come and get them," King Leonidas supposedly retorted when ordered to lay down their arms. But bravery, even of the Spartan variety, has its limits. A treacherous Greek shepherd revealed a hidden goat path to the Persians, allowing them to outflank the defenders. Trapped, facing certain death, Leonidas dismissed most of his allies, urging them to live to fight another day. The remaining Spartans, along with a handful of Thespian and Theban warriors, fought to the death. Their sacrifice, though a tactical defeat, became a symbol of unwavering courage and resistance against overwhelming odds. The year is 331 BC. Imagine the dust and heat of the Mesopotamian plains. An army stands poised, a tightly wound coil of muscle and steel. This is the army of Alexander of Macedon, the young king who dreamed of conquering the known world. Across the field, a vast sea of soldiers stretches as far as the eye can see. This is the army of Darius III, the Persian king of kings. The stakes, the fate of empires, the course of Western civilization. Would it be the Achaemenids or Alexander who would etch his name onto history? Gaugamela was more than a battle. It was a clash of civilizations, a moment crackling with historical significance. Alexander, ever the tactical genius, faced a numerically superior foe. The Persians outnumbered his Macedonians significantly, but Alexander had a plan. He relied on the discipline of his troops and the famed Macedonian phalanx. He personally led a daring cavalry charge straight at Darius. The Persian center buckled, creating a gap. The companion cavalry smashed into the gap, carving through the Persian ranks. Darius fled the field, and the Persian Empire never truly recovered. Hannibal Barca, the bogeyman of Rome, haunted the dreams of Roman legionaries. He inflicted catastrophic defeats, but could never deliver the killing blow. Rome's resilience proved to be its saving grace, and so the stage was set for Zama. Facing Hannibal at Zama was a young Roman general by the name of Scipio Africanus. Scipio, a student of Hannibal's tactics, knew he couldn't defeat the Carthaginian on his own terms. He countered Hannibal's war elephants by creating gaps in his lines, isolating and neutralizing them. Scipio anticipated Hannibal's use of veteran troops at the center. He arranged his troops in a checkerboard formation, enveloping Hannibal's flanks. Hannibal's army was surrounded and overwhelmed. Rome had triumphed. Imagine, if you will, the world in the 8th century AD. A new force has emerged from the deserts of Arabia, a force driven by faith, united by the words of the Prophet Muhammad. The Islamic conquests, a whirlwind of conquest unlike anything the world had seen since the days of Alexander, had swept across North Africa, consuming the remnants of the Roman Empire in the east and pushing westward into Europe itself. From the Persian Gulf to the Atlantic coast of North Africa, the Islamic Caliphate stretched, a vast empire built on the foundations of a new faith, a new civilization. And at the heart of this empire burned a fervent desire to spread the word of Islam, to bring the world under the banner of the one true God. In 711 AD, Islamic forces crossed the Straits of Gibraltar, landing on the Iberian Peninsula. Visigothic Spain, weakened by internal strife, crumbled before the Islamic advance. City after city fell, and soon most of the peninsula was under Muslim control. The Islamic tide, it seemed, was unstoppable. But in the heart of what is now France, a new power was rising. A power forged in the crucible of constant warfare. A power that would stand as a bulwark against the Islamic advance. These were the Franks, and at their head stood a man who would come to be known as the Hammer, Charles Martel. The Battle of Tours, fought in 732 AD near Tours in France, was a clash of civilizations, shaping Europe's destiny. Charles Martel led the Frankish infantry against Abd al-Rahman al-Ghafiqi's Islamic forces. The battle was brutal and bloody. Abd al-Rahman was slain, causing the Islamic advance to falter. Martel's cavalry scattered the Muslim ranks, securing victory. The unstoppable Islamic tide was broken. The year 1066, a year of profound upheaval, a hinge point in history. Anglo-Saxon England creaking under Viking raids. Enter William the Bastard, Duke of Normandy. A clash of cultures, a collision of destinies. The English, their shield walls, their king, Harold Godwinson. The Normans, masters of cavalry tactics. The Bayeux Tapestry captures this clash. Norman cavalry charging, a whirlwind of steel. The English, a wall of resistance. The Battle of Hastings, a clash of civilizations, a struggle for the soul of England. Hastings was a close-run thing, a bloody affair that could have gone either way. But, in the end, it was William who emerged victorious, the crown of England within his grasp. The old order was swept away, replaced by a new Norman elite. It brought about a profound transformation of English society, language, and culture. The legacy of Hastings is also a story of cultural fusion, blending Anglo-Saxon and Norman traditions. Sometimes it is in the crucible of battle that the fate of nations is decided. Imagine a kingdom in peril, a land ravaged by war, its people teetering on the brink of despair. This was France in the throes of the 100 Years' War, a seemingly endless cycle of bloodshed and devastation. In the midst of this darkness, a flicker of hope emerged from a young peasant girl named Joan of Arc. Driven by visions from God, Joan rallied the demoralized French troops and crowned the Dauphin as the rightful ruler. Picture her, clad in white armor astride a warhorse, her banner held high, a beacon of hope. The Siege of Orleans became a testament to the power of belief, swaying the tide of history. The Siege of Orleans was broken. An illiterate peasant girl claiming divine guidance overturned an inevitable English victory. Joan's story does not have a happy ending. Captured and tried for heresy, she was a political pawn. Condemned, she was burned at the stake in 1431. Her death inflamed French resistance. Joan of Arc became a symbol of French resilience and hope. The year is 1683. Vienna, the heart of the Holy Roman Empire, is under siege. The air is thick with smoke and death. A vast Ottoman army stands poised to deliver a death blow to Christendom. The Ottoman Empire, a rising power, had swallowed vast territories. Their armies, fueled by religious zeal and military discipline, seemed unstoppable. Vienna, the gateway to Western Europe, stood as the last bastion. The siege was a clash of civilizations, a struggle for the soul of Europe. The Ottomans, representing the might of Islam, their ranks filled with janissaries. The defenders of Vienna, a patchwork of European allies united by their shared Christian faith. Just when it seemed the defenders' resolve would break, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. A relief force, led by the Polish king Jan Sobieski, a man renowned for his military genius and his unwavering faith, was approaching Vienna. Sobieski, a devout Catholic, saw the defense of Vienna as a holy crusade, a chance to strike a blow for Christendom against the encroaching forces of Islam. What followed was one of the largest cavalry charges in history. Imagine, if you can, the thunder of hooves as thousands of Polish horsemen, their lances lowered, crashed into the Ottoman lines. The impact was devastating, shattering the Ottoman ranks and sending shockwaves through the Sultan's army. The Siege of Vienna was broken. The victory sent shockwaves across Europe. The Ottoman Empire, once deemed invincible, had been stopped in its tracks. The victory at Vienna marked a turning point in the history of Eastern Europe, signaling the beginning of the Ottoman decline and the resurgence of European power. The year is 1815. Europe, exhausted yet exhilarated, watches as Napoleon Bonaparte, the exiled emperor, the once and future conqueror, escapes Elba and lands on French soil. Imagine the tension, the disbelief. This man who had reshaped the continent through sheer force of will was back. Armies mobilized, alliances reformed. The stage was set for one final, earth-shattering clash. The Allied forces, a coalition of nations fearing a resurgence of French hegemony, gathered under the Duke of Wellington, a stoic, calculating British commander known for his tactical brilliance. Napoleon, with his charisma reignited, rallied his veterans, men who had seen the sun rise and set on countless battlefields. The fate of Europe, the very future of nations, hung in the balance, poised on the edge of a knife, as both armies marched towards a small, seemingly insignificant Belgian town, Waterloo. Picture the scene. June 18, 1815. A cold rain has fallen over Waterloo, turning the battlefield into a sea of mud. Cannons roared, muskets blazed, and the air filled with the cries of the dying as wave after wave of French infantry crashed against the British lines. Napoleon, the master tactician, sought to break Wellington's resolve, but the British lines held, bolstered by Prussian reinforcements arriving at the 11th hour. It was a brutal, attritional battle, a test of endurance as much as strategy. The tide seemed to turn with each charge, each volley of cannon fire. As the day wore on, the French grew desperate, their emperor's dream of a restored empire slipping away with every fallen soldier. Finally, as the sun began to set, a last desperate French assault was shattered. Napoleon, defeated, his legend finally broken, would be forced into exile once more, this time to the remote island of St. Helena. 1914, a world teetering on the brink of an abyss. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo ignites a tinderbox of alliances, dragging Europe into the maelstrom of the First World War. Germany, driven by the Schlieffen Plan, a meticulously crafted strategy of lightning warfare, aimed to knock France out of the war with a single decisive blow. Imagine the German war machine, a force the world had never seen, millions strong, marching through neutral Belgium, their sights set on Paris. The French, facing this overwhelming onslaught, desperately rallied their forces. The initial clashes were marked by confusion and chaos, the sheer scale of the conflict beyond anything experienced before. As the German advance rolled inexorably closer to Paris, the French government fled, the city bracing for siege. It seemed as if the German plan was on the verge of success, as if the war might be over almost as soon as it began. But on the banks of the Marne River, a tributary flowing just east of Paris, a desperate stand would take place. French and British forces, battered but not broken, dug in, determined to halt the German advance. The Battle of the Marne, fought over 5 grueling days in September 1914, was a chaotic, brutal affair. Imagine the trenches hastily dug, the air thick with the stench of cordite and death, the deafening roar of artillery fire. Millions of men clashed in a maelstrom of fire and steel. The French, bolstered by reinforcements, rushed from Paris in a desperate gamble, fought with a ferocity born of desperation. The German offensive, already stretched thin, faltered, then stalled. The Schlieffen plan, so meticulously crafted, lay in ruins on the blood-soaked banks of the Marne. The war, instead of the quick victory envisioned by both sides, would grind on for 4 long years. From the blood-soaked plains of Marathon to the trenches of the Marne, these battles, these clashes of civilizations, echo through history. They remind us of the human capacity for both great courage and unimaginable destruction. These stories, these glimpses into the crucible of war, force us to confront the complexities of our past, the choices made, the sacrifices endured. They challenge us to learn from the mistakes of history, to strive for a future where the drums of war fall silent. But most importantly, they remind us of the human cost of conflict, the countless lives lost, the families torn apart, the scars that war leaves on individuals, nations, and the very soul of humanity. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical insights. Let us know in the comments which battle you found most fascinating. See you next time.